few weeks into their burgeoning relationship, Ilara and Jamie found themselves comfortably settled into a routine of shared moments and deepening connections. Their meetings, filled with laughter and meaningful conversations, had become the highlights of their weeks. However, like any relationship, as the initial glow began to settle, the real challenges started to surface. It was late afternoon on a typically foggy San Francisco day when the first real test came. Jamie had been unusually quiet throughout their walk along the Embarcadero, his mind preoccupied with a troubling email he'd received from a client. The email had criticized the piece he'd submitted, calling it lackluster and not up to his usual standard. The words had stung, cutting deeper because part of him feared they were true. Ilara noticed his distant demeanor and stopped, taking his hand. "Hey, is everything okay? You've been really quiet today." Jamie sighed, his frustration bubbling to the surface. "It's nothing really, just some feedback from a client. It wasn't very positive, and it's got me doubting myself." Ilara squeezed his hand, trying to offer comfort. "Everyone gets bad feedback sometimes. It doesn't define your work." "I know," Jamie replied, but his tone was not convinced. "It's just that sometimes I wonder if I'm really cut out for this." The doubt in his voice was something Ilara hadn't heard before. She wanted to help, to say the right thing, but found herself at a loss for words. The silence that followed felt heavy, loaded with unspoken fears and uncertainties. As they resumed walking, the air between them felt different, tenser, less familiar. Jamie's doubts about his writing had inadvertently opened a door to deeper insecurities, affecting how he interacted with Ilara. He became more withdrawn, responding to her attempts at conversation with brief nods or distracted murmurs. Ilara felt the shift keenly. She wondered if she had done something wrong, or if there was more she could do to help. The joy of their earlier interactions was shadowed by a cloud of uncertainty, and she found herself missing the easy connection that had defined the beginning of their relationship. Later that week, they met at a local bookstore, a place they both loved for its quiet corners and shelves laden with stories. As they browsed through the aisles, Ilara reached for a book on Impressionist art, a subject she adored. She started to share an interesting fact about Monet, but Jamie's attention was elsewhere, his eyes scanning the titles without really seeing them. Feeling a sting of rejection, Ilara closed the book with a soft thud. "Jamie, are we okay?" she asked, her voice low and concerned. Jamie looked up, startled by her directness. "Yeah, of course. Why do you ask?" "It's just that you seem so distant lately," Ilara said, her worry evident. "If there's something more going on, I wish you'd tell me." Jamie hesitated, his internal struggle clear. "I'm sorry, Ilara. It's not you. I've just been feeling really off about my work. It's like I can't shake this feeling of not being good enough." Ilara reached out, taking his hand in hers, her touch gentle. "You're an incredible writer, Jamie. Don't let one piece of feedback knock you down. I believe in you, but you need to believe in yourself too." Jamie's eyes met hers, and he felt the sincerity in her words. He realized then how much he'd allowed his insecurities to build a wall between them. "Thank you," he said, his voice soft. "I needed to hear that. I guess I've been letting it get to me more than I should." As they left the bookstore, there was a renewed sense of connection between them. They had navigated their first challenge, a step that brought them closer, deepening their understanding of each other. Jamie knew he had to work on his self-doubt, not just for his sake, but for theirs. And Ilara, reassured by their conversation, felt ready to support him through those doubts, knowing that facing challenges together was part of the journey they had embarked on.